Sharks locked down a top 8 finish out of the Stay Weird Gaming, and this regional breakdown is going to actually just shock the entire core of your being. Don't make 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash and see you guys don't miss out. More awesome content. We're going to start off here with your top 16 breakdown. This is completely different than what I'm used to providing for these regionals, but I actually got lucky and got the chance to get all of the data for top 16. In a separate video, we will have top 16 deck list, so you guys can kind of take a look. And yes, there is a Wicked Avatar sighting in competitive play. So top 16 here, we have 2 Vanquish Soul decks making their way into Top Cut. Oh, well, that's not possible. Everybody told me that Vanquish Soul wasn't a good deck. Well, that's very strange. We also had 2 Purely decks in top 16. Now, this was a little bit more interesting to kind of see here because so many people have kind of fallen off, the face of the planet, trying to play this deck, but it did have success here. Now, your one-ups. We had one branded player. We had a Gold Pride Punk deck. I'm actually not surprised to see that. We had some sort of Sprite pile. Okay, so we've seen plenty of Sprite innovations out here. We had a Shark player. All right. We had one Kashtira. We also had an Ad Ignister deck. So essentially Code Talker, Mathemech, Ignister shenanigans. I'm glad to see that's still functioning out here. We also had a Labyrinth deck. Okay. Then we have a Bysteel Synchro pile. That's actually pretty cool to see too. Flunderies made it into top 16 as well. We had a Sky Striker, a Dark World, and then there's a Manadeum Scareclaw deck as well. Essentially Visus good stuff, effectively, where this deck's entire purpose is, toggling up through the multiple ladders here, setting up optimized play here. Now, overall, this is amazing. This is one of the craziest formats. If you have this much happening, obviously it's, very early format syndrome here, but I think that that's particularly crazy to see this much, actually toggling on through here. Good stuff. Now, top 8 here. Is that 2 Vanquish Soul players making their way into Top Cut? Yeah, it is actually. Vanquish Soul steps up to the arena here, is actually one of the most represented decks. Now, this isn't going to tell the story across all the regionals over the weekend. That's for sure. Winning the event was actually branded, and we'll take a look at that list here for you in a second. Gold Pride Punk rounded things out with a 2nd place finish. Wow. And then we had Purely. So one Purely did convert over into Top Cut. We also had one Sprite. We had our Shark player making it on in to top 8. Shark player is actually a good personal friend of mine who helps me with making some of the content that you see in these videos. So technically, they're like my sub-assistant editor, which actually is amazing. And then we have Kashtira rounding out your Top Cut. Let's pass on over to those deck list. Winning our regional is what's going to be classified as a going second branded deck. I didn't even know this was a thing, but you still have some Evenlies, some Super Polies, some Dark Rulers, and some Tack Talents in a deck, and I mean, you can be go second, everything that you want here. I see that we are also focusing in on, well, some actual decent control aspects here. We have Kaijus to handle anything here. Double Blazing 1 Quem is pretty standard. Holy Boldrake down here. Okay, we have 1 Ghost Spell. Okay, we have Nightmare Puppet down here, and we are sighting the Albion. I feel like the sighting of this package has been a little bit more normal now as well. And then we are sighting the Crossout Designators. Keep in mind, this is 50 cards. I think a few people are going to be like, oh man, like the 50 card variant. I think this is fine, honestly. Like, this won the regional. This did, clear the bar for a high place finish. So that's something that you really need to consider here as well. 2nd place here is our Gold Pride Punk. And there's the 1 Rollerballer. Still love the fact that people are like, yeah, you got to play multiple. No, you're fine with the 1. We are playing double talents, which is fine. Imperms and Ashes are our hand trap options. And technically, you have the talents too, which is fine. We have Fenrir's. This is one thing that I will say about this format. The Fenrir into Fenrir engine to generate, like, the initial control aspect of things is really good. We do have 2 Magna, 1 Duros-Room down here. And then we have Curry Caras all day long. Alright, and then of course, this deck actually gets away with doing Dragoblion OTK shenanigans. Shout out to this deck, though. It's one of the more interesting things that I necessarily didn't expect to see today. Especially, you know, finishing second. You know, that's pretty impressive overall. My friend playing Sharks actually lost to this. Next up here, we have our first Vanquish Soul deck, locking down a relatively strong third-place finish here. I will say, TC Boo is an amazing card. So this basically does solidify the fact that maybe the control variant is the better build at this point in time, because you have to remember, like, flipping this card just wins you games. You don't have to get crazy with, like, the Peril Exceed stuff. Good control options do typically allow you to play the game. Standard Hand Trapped Out of Our Mind, and then we have Buy Steal options down here as need be. We also are playing Bagooski, the Terribly Tired Teddy Bear. And then, of course, we have, Anti-Spell Fragrances. The fact that your deck can mode change, literally on the control side of things, like, you know, I can go ahead and set up some Anti-Spell Fragrance. Your opponent looks at you and goes, this is the most unfun I've ever had playing this game. Yeah, 100% agree with you. Yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Next up is our Purely deck. This is Purely Kashtira. What in the world? I was asked, though. I have a link that I'll leave down below for their team YouTube channel that they wanted me to shout out. So please do show them some love down below with that link. All right. So I mean, Shifters with Fenris, like, this mini package is kind of cool. It actually, with the loss of this, you're trying like supplemental packages to find ways to kind of patch up what this deck does. Also, I mean, to be honest with you, like, this deck's still kind of Zeus Turbo. You clear a board, and then you deploy a Unicorn. Or, you know, you can start off on the Unicorn side of thing, go down Fenrir, and, you know, set up. If your opponent interrupts and cuts this off, well, then you can go down the Purely line. Like, it's pretty good. Honestly, these sub-engines that you're seeing in these decks right now, so many cool options to kind of bring to the table. Next up here, we have, so this is our Sprite Evil Twin deck. Yep, with the runic stuff. So this is what I would consider the more common version of things kind of floating around right now, because this deck, draw power, you get the form of the interruptions down here with the Kishisakill and the Lilla. Drawing / pop interruptions are always going to be absolutely amazing. And then you have some evenly matches here as well to kind of round out going second. The deck, basically for what it wants to do in terms of options, is very, very interesting. And I think that's why we like, you know, you can slap 3 engines into a deck and, oh my gosh, it actually works. I mean, it does. All right, like, that's just what you're dealing with right now in terms of the format. And of course, this card right here still is essentially a free auto win button against, you know, good old Kashtira. So take your free wins where you can get them out here. That's for sure. All right, next up here, we have our other Vanquish Soul deck. Cool. That does it. That is 2 builds out of the same regional that confirmed this. Now, this build was getting a little bit saucy. Now, they're trying out the Parallel Exceed here. Keep in mind, I mean, you set up a Link 1 here that has the down arrow. You get to bring out the Parallel Exceed. You get access to, you know, any of your mini Bagooski option. Whatever of these that you want to see down here, you can access. All right, we're not using this in the same function, you know, Trap Tricks does to, you know, set up the slightly crazier options. But, you know, it's good. We have 2 Pot of Prosperity here. Obviously, you know, 2-2 split between searchers here is actually kind of cool. So basically, I mean, you load up, you hand trap search down here, or, you know, you need to go search for a starter. Depends on how you open up. And then we are playing the 1 Trinity Burst here in the main deck. And yeah, we are sighting some Ghost Reapers down here. They're definitely trying to cover their bases here to make sure they can play the game. Next up here, we have Sharks getting 7th place out here. Notes that I have for this. This card is actually insane. Stealth Kraken is just something that decks couldn't handle. It did get Kaiju'd a couple times, but opponents were like, oh, okay. Also, this card was an issue for a few people to actually handle. Actually, kind of hilarious to see that Utopic Draco out here actually being a relevant meta card in 2023. I mean, this deck basically gets the ability to streamline this relatively easily. You can do your thing. Also, Silent Sea Nettles and Lifeless Leaf Fish here. Both were some pretty cool cards in the deck, but a lot of people, they don't know how to play against this deck, or they see a Stealth Kraken and like, wait, what? This actually floats? Yeah, it does. It's one of the best water. Actually, I think this might be the best water card. The White Marincess exists. So, congratulations. Actually, their first regional top, too. Good stuff. Next up here, we have our Kashtira Raid Raptor. Man, you know, I had seen this pop up, and I didn't think much about it. But the fact that here we are, and we are playing the Eternal Galaxy as well. Man, you know, I guess it's cool. The fact that you are getting away with splashing this package to, you know, toggle on in to the Galaxy Photon Lord here, and then you can add this. And then congratulations. Shenanigans. Very, very interesting. Outside of, you know, the standard Kashtira stuff, the fact that they're splashing in, you know, a little more option trees here, Arachnophobia to search for this, it's definitely proving, like, how good this format actually is. So, I'm going to have some top 16 deck list for you this afternoon, so you can take a little bit of a peek at what's going on there. And, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any regional info, please reach out to me on social media. There's so much to cover this weekend, so please bear with me. I'll do what I can to try to get everything out. There's a remote dual YCS coming up here, so we'll see how everything does. Oh, also, India's next weekend. Hopefully I'll be there. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? And stay safe, alright? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.